Hello students, Tim here from Premier Martial Arts in Aurora. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about our next Black Belt Excellence theme, which is positive self-image. Our positive self-image, or our self-image, has absolutely everything to do with how we view ourselves, how we think about ourselves, our self-esteem, and our self-confidence. Now, the first thing that I've written on this board, and it's also the first thing that is on our poster right here, is that affirmation of yes, I can. Right? Now, yes, I can is just an affirmation that you can do absolutely anything you set your mind to. Now, we know this to be true, and it is so important that we remind ourselves these things, right? And that we continue to plant those seeds of positivity into our minds. Now, the next thing that I have written up here is that our minds are fertile soil, right? And we want to grow a beautiful garden. You know, our thoughts and our mind, right? That is the breeding ground for all of these things to attach, to connect, and to grow. We want to make sure that we're doing our best to plant those seeds of positivity. So just a simple affirmation of yes, I can is just one of those examples. But even just things that reminding ourselves that I am strong, right? I am smart, I am good enough. Right? I want to make sure that those are the kinds of seeds that I'm planting into my mind and that I'm allowing to blossom and to grow biggest and strongest. If I rest and I feed into the negativity that I'm sure we all feel sometimes, if I let that sit, our mind is fertile ground. And if I allow those seeds of negativity to be the things that, that really set, plant, and fertilize, it's just going to continue to grow worse and worse and worse and spread throughout all the areas of my life. So we're doing our very best to plant, to fertilize, right, and to blossom those seeds of positivity. Consider some of those things that you know to be true that we let ourselves forget sometimes. Think about some of those different affirmations that will, that mean most to us, like just those words, yes, I can, mean to me. That's something that I used to hear every single day in martial arts when I was growing up. Now, the next concept that I wanted to talk about was the concept of owning yourself. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I choose my perspective, I choose my perception, I choose how I kind of interpret the feelings that I have. I choose how I view myself. I choose the language that I give myself. I choose my self-image, right? Now, first in owning myself, I want to make sure that I, as honestly as possible, acknowledge my strengths and my weaknesses. First, acknowledging my strengths, of course, acknowledging our strengths are going to be those things that are always be anchors for us in our self-esteem, our confidence, and our self-image, right? If I remind myself that, I'm strong and I have all these reasons why, I've done this, I've done that, working hard and persevering through sports, through martial arts, and just through life in general, I've built up, a good amount of strengths, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge and appreciate those things. At the same time, though, I want to make sure that I acknowledge my weaknesses for what they are. And every single person has things that they're good at and things that they're not so good at. And when I do look at or acknowledge my weaknesses, I don't want to let that just take over completely, right? I understand that I have a good balance of strengths and weaknesses, and I need to view them as such, right? The next thing I have written here is imperfect perception. I feel like, for myself, and I know we all do this, is we kind of oscillate through positivity and negativity, right? Oscillation is like when you picture an arrow being shot through the air, how the middle of it wiggles, right? As people, there are times where we get up, we get down. And I understand that in any particular given moment, whether I view myself as, very up or very down, it's just, a piece of my perception. And back to owning myself, I choose, or I have the ability to influence at least where I am at any given time. So our imperfect perception, when I choose to look at my strengths and my weaknesses and how I view myself as a whole, right? I need to understand that my perspective in a given moment is just that given moment. if I, the strengths or the weaknesses that I perceive of myself, right? It's not necessarily 100% that way all the time, right? It'll oscillate, and then as we continue to grow, as we continue to learn and move forward, even those things will change. Not just those things will change, but how I see them is going to change also. So especially in those moments when I'm feeling down or I'm feeling negative, I do my best to remember that not only will things change as time goes, but the way that I see those things will also change too. And then the last thing in owning ourselves is not taking criticism personally. Nobody is you, only you, right? And there's nobody that spends more time being me than me. There's nobody that spends more time with me than me. And it's very easy to take a comment or criticism too personally, where I hold on to it, and I let that dominate my perception. And it really doesn't have to be that way. First, in not taking things personally and not taking criticism personally, I want to do my best to understand why the person that gave me that criticism or gave me that kind of feedback, why they gave me that kind of feedback. What was it that I was doing? What is it about their perception that made it that way? And in that way, I can take that criticism and like I said, not take it too personally and use that to allow me to grow in a positive way. And then, of course, there are going to be some pieces of criticism that, when you consider as honestly as possible your strengths, your weaknesses, when you consider not just your, but also their imperfect perception, sometimes when we feel like we're taking negativity, we really don't have to take it to heart. We can just let it just kind of bounce away. With these thoughts, so far that we've talked about, that we've listed right here, consider what it is that you see yourself as, right? How it is that you view yourself. Consider how it is that you want to feel and how it is that you want to view yourself, right? Run through. I like to kind of, before I get started doing my things and afterwards in reflection, kind of run through again those positive affirmations of myself that, I can do it, I am doing my best, all those things. And then if I am receiving, feedback and criticism, really understanding my place, their place, how our perspectives play part in how we give and how we receive these things, and then just kind of how we move forward from there. All right, students, let's talk about the assignment that we have for our Black Belt Excellence theme of positive self-image. Now, I consider all the time that when I view myself, it's not as easy to view myself as objectively as it is for us to view others, right? It is way easier for us to judge others positively and negatively than it is to honestly judge ourselves. So first, I want you to start with listing 3 positive things about somebody you love or admire. Right, so I wrote out 3 right here, and I wrote down 1, 2, and 3, and I gave 2 examples of positive things that I feel about my sister Haley. After you list 3 things that you view as positive about somebody else, then I want you to go and I want you to really look at yourself and your perspective on yourself, and I want you to list 3 positive things that you think or that you feel about yourself. Now, the first one I have listed here for me is that I persevere, right? This is just kind of one of those traits that I feel is constant, where, I make sure, it's taken me a long time to practice this and develop this, but I'm very proud of myself for developing that ability to not give up just because things are challenging or things are tough. I'm very, very much so proud of myself and appreciative of myself for persevering. So number 1 here, I persevere. Now, the second thing that I have listed is rather an achievement, is how I've written it out, right? I'm proud of myself for earning my black belts. It's, taken a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, going into earning my black belts, earning the position that I've earned in the martial arts schools that I've been in. And, that's another thing, another positive thing that I can always look back on and feel good about myself about, right? But anyway, list the 3 positive things that you feel about somebody else that you love or admire. Then list 3 positive things that you feel about yourself. Write these things down on a piece of paper, take a picture of it, and email it in to info@Scorpion Fitness Center, or you can just type these things out and send in that email. All right. Anyway, I hope these things made sense. I hope some of these thoughts can help us in considering the concept of our positive self-image, and I hope it continues to help us learn and to grow. Anyway, stay safe, be healthy, and we'll see you next time.